Okay, so I wasn't even planning on making a video today, but I saw this thing. See, there's this political commentator, Gavin McInnes. I guess he's sort of right wing, you could call him. He was pretty popular during like the 2016, like the initial Trump campaign, but he like seriously fell off afterwards. Like, just to give you an example of how much he fell off, if you remember the Kanye debacle, that whole thing, he actually did an interview with Kanye West during that time. And yeah, people heard about the Alex Jones one. They did not hear about the Gavin McInnes one, that's for sure. But anyway, he recently just dropped a hot take on Twitter where he accuses all anime fans of being pedophiles. So, you know, let's just let him speak for himself there.
You know this Zoomer culture thing of the, I'm a cute, I just want you to know that if you're into anime, you're a pedophile. To be clear, if you watch those cartoons, if you read those comics, if your avatar is remotely associated with any kind of Japanese animation, you're a pedophile, you're a pervert, you're infantilized, you're sick and depraved.
Yeah, so here he basically just throws out a whole bunch of slander, a bunch of baseless claims at anime enjoyers. And I think at this point a lot of us know that people who attack anime fans for being pedophiles don't exactly have a good track record, you know, when it comes to their relation to children. Oftentimes those who say anime is pedophilic end up being pedophiles themselves. You know, ultimately it's just a lot of projection. I don't exactly think it's like that in this case, but we'll get a bit more into that in later. Although one thing I wanna inform you all of is that this guy, you know, this lebased right-wing political commentator, yeah, he's a bit of a depraved pervert himself, you could say. Yeah, it turns out that even this wasn't even a few years back. He shoved a dildo up his ass to own the libs. So make of that what you will. But anyway, let's just get back to it.
And I noticed you talk a big game. A lot of the wingnats use anime avatars, and they're always how I'm a pussy and a cuck and shucking, and they're going to kick my ass. And you're all weak, loser, incel, virgin, pussy, pedophile, sicko.
And here's ultimately where we get to the crux of the issue. Really, what I think Mr. McInnes has an issue with, what he has a complex about, is that this guy is like some freaking washed up, talentless, conservative political commentator who no one even gives a shit about anymore. So every day he's got like right-wing Zoomers on Twitter fucking making fun of him for being like a fake conservative and a loser. And he's just like, at this point, he's just fucking pissed, okay? He wakes up and he goes to his Twitter timeline and it's all just anime profile pictures calling him a fucking cuck. So ultimately, that's ultimately the crux of the issue, I think, is that he's just salty that that the youth these days don't like him.
Because these gestures that come from Japan are the gestures of a child. Look at her cartoony fucking sweatshirt.
Yeah, and this right here is probably the most insane part. So, he's talking about how anime is destroying civilization or whatever, you know, not like any of the other issues in our society. And look, his evidence, okay, this is his like silver bullet. It's some quirky TikTok girl dancing to an American song while wearing an American a sweatshirt with an American cartoon character on it. Okay, this is just so weird. He couldn't get anything better than this. I mean, I feel like anime fans, like, look, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like we do a lot of degenerate shit, and this is what he gets. Some TikTok girl wearing a turning red sweatshirt, a frickin' Disney sweatshirt, dancing to some, like, whatever, some fucking English song. Like, come on, so... yeah, and then...
She's acting like a 3-year-old, and they're talking about fucking. This comes from Japanese cartoons, and the Japanese cartoons are trying to be cute, so they mimic 4-year-olds. I fucking hate this shit. I hate Japanese animation. It sucks shit. I hate their little sharp triangle noses That's the thing that bugs me the most.
For me, it's the thin lines and like, yeah, it just nothing looks solid. It looks weightless. There's
Yeah,
no
yeah, yeah.
weight.
It's thin, wiry frames.
Right. I just could never do it. Dragon Ball Z was the closest I got, and they have thick lines. So I guess maybe that is my big problem.
All this, I hate their fucking explosions and the lines and everything.
Yeah, so, and according to this guy, anime's degenerate because just those lines are too thin and, like, you know, too many explosions, okay? That's just, like, no good, no bueno.
If you want to see the brilliant cartoons, this is a subject that doesn't go well for me, but people don't understand that I can hate superhero comics and not want you to read them, but I can also appreciate graphic novels and the incredible art behind them. That's a very tough sell. I understand. You don't come from where I come from. In Montreal, bande dessinée, being a cartoonist was like being in a band. Like we would meet and make shit together.
Okay, so, I mean, here is where the picture starts, you start seeing the bigger picture. So he's from Montreal, okay? So a Canadian is bad enough, but Montreal? Like, that's not even, like, Vancouver and Toronto aren't even as bad as Montreal. And then he's, like, shilling for, like, these Canadian cartoons or whatever, like it's some kind of high art. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. If Western comics were so great, then when you go to the bookstore, the manga section wouldn't be like... The manga section at the bookstore wouldn't be massive, and then the comic section wouldn't be like a single shelf if Western comics were so great, okay? I'll tell you that right now, alright?
But this sort of head nigga in charge of comics in Montreal was Chris Oliveros. And he published Drawn and Quarterly, and he just put out this graphic novel that is the best thing I've ever read. And it's called Are You Willing to Die for the Cause? We laughed at him when he started doing his own comics. He sucked. So he quit, he sold the publisher, and he totally focused on becoming a good cartoonist, and now he's one of the best. Do you see what I'm talking about the lines? Like, look how thick they are and the amount of black he uses, and it's every frame is very substantial. I saved this for weeks because I knew once I read it, it's gone, right? It was like money. So I would only read it if I was like sober as a judge and in a good mood and had a big dinner, and I'd only read a few pages at a time, but...
Yeah, so then he just shills for, like, this fucking random cartoon that I guess one of his old friends made or something, and I mean, like, look, I mean... I'm not gonna, like... Some anime have some really great art, okay? I mean, I'm pretty sure you could frame just about any panel from frickin' Berserk, for example, and then he shows this. This is the pinnacle of, Western comics, Western cartoons, okay? This is the pinnacle. Best thing he's ever read, so this even... Well, I mean, I doubt this guy's read much actual literature, but this even beats out, like, frickin' Plato, or Aristotle, or Shakespeare, or frickin' whoever, okay? And I mean, like, look, I mean, if this is the best you got, I mean, honestly, I feel like even something like Garfield is a bit more appealing. Like, this, honestly, it kind of, like, looks like a step above, like, Tumblr art. And he also doesn't even talk about, like, the story at all, which is kind of interesting, but, you know, whatever, I guess. It's like a freaking 20-second segment. But yeah, but ultimately, I guess all it comes down to is those thick lines, okay? Anime lines are just too thin. You gotta make them thick, okay? Here, let me whip out this cartoon I made. See, this must be some high-ass art compared to, this must be some high-ass art according to this Gavin McInnes guy. Anyway, I don't really have a greater point to make with this video. Kind of just want to clown on this out-of-touch boomer, because, I mean, look, these types of guys are such a pain in the ass to deal with all the frickin' time. And they're, like, all over fucking politics. Like, so many of these conservatives, it's just like some fucking boomer who's like, back in my day, I bought a house for frickin' $10,000. These young people are so lazy, they just don't want to work anymore. And look, he's basically like that. And this guy's like not even a fucking real conservative, okay? He frickin' goes up there and he like frickin' shoves a dildo up his ass to prove that he's not homophobic. Like, excuse me? So anyways, well, I'm just sitting here waiting for the day when Gavin McInnes comes out. Or the day when he molests a child. You know, but, you know, we'll probably be getting both soon. But anyway, so I guess that's about it for me. Thank you everybody for watching, and goodbye.